So Taylor and I have officially had our very first critical breakdown on the Xterra while we were out traveling. Yesterday we were out in the northern New Mexico mountains hanging out with some friends, and it was supposed to be a fun 3-day week, but it turned around pretty quickly that once we got on the trail, things started going wrong. And if you guys want to hear the full story on that, go ahead and listen to our latest podcast. I will put a link down in the description below. But to give you the rundown of what had happened, my alternator basically quit on me, and we had to figure out a way to charge the battery to get back into town where I could then further troubleshoot the issue and try and find what was going on. But spoiler alert, we could not find the issue, and I ended up having to get towed all the way back home here. So that all happened yesterday, which was pretty crazy. I didn't really film any of it because it was just so wild and everything was going on, but we were finally here in the comfort of our own home on the weekend, and while the rest of our friends are hanging out having fun in the mountains, I'm going to be sitting here this weekend trying to troubleshoot and solve for what's going on here. The weather today though is a bit dreary, and it is kind of drizzling rain, and while I really enjoy this, I kind of feel like this is the moment where I want to pull out a book and just read it in the corner rather than do a bunch of work on the Xterra. So I think we're going to pick this up first thing tomorrow. Well, it is a mostly sunny day this morning, and I think it's going to be a good opportunity to work on the Xterra here. So I am very highly suspicious that our short is happening somewhere in the bumper here, considering just how poorly this bumper is held on, and it would just seem like a no-brainer that this would certainly be the issue. And I'm really hopeful that it is, because it means it's a very easy fix, and it just becomes a simple fix of patching the wire. So as hopeful as I am that the short is going to be in the wiring harness here, I'm also kind of skeptical because nothing's ever this easy to fix, ever. So to get this bumper off, there's only the 4 bolts holding it on, and I just have to disconnect the fog lights and the marker lights, and it should just pull right off. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it off, and hopefully we can find our short. Part of me thinks that this is going to be a super easy fix. The other part of me thinks, no, this is way too easy. Nothing is ever this simple. And we're gonna have our work cut out for us today. All right, that's the first bolt. Let's grab the second. So this wire right here is our lights that go to the bumper. This one in particular is our marker light. This one is our fog light. Off the bat, I don't see any obvious phrase. I wonder what this one is right here. There's obviously water inside of it. I'll have to look that one up. I'm pretty sure that is going to be for our windshield wiper fluid here. And if I go ahead and take a look at this side here, we have the same setup. And I don't see any abrasions. I'm gonna have to take a little closer look at this with the camera set down. Well, naturally, it wasn't gonna be this easy, just as I had feared. I have everything apart right here, and I don't see any obvious abrasions to the wire at all. And so I really suspect water did get in somewhere, because we did go through some mud puddles that were pretty big, and we were pretty much submerging the bumper. So I would imagine if there is a short, it has to be somewhere up here. But what I'm gonna do right now is let things dry out a little bit, and then I'm gonna replace the fuse. And if things are dried, it might just start working, I don't know. But it doesn't really tell me where the short is. It could have been any of these lights. As of right now, I have no inclination to think it came from anywhere in particular other than the front of the vehicle here. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of let things air dry out here a little bit, and then I'm going to replace the meter fuse again, and then we'll just turn the key slightly to see if the fuse blows or if it just does nothing and turns on and functions fully. So I don't really know what to expect here, but let's give it a shot. All right, so these are the fuses that keep popping out of the meter fuse, and we're just gonna go ahead and exchange it for a new one. And I have a bunch of new replacements here, and we will go ahead and replace it underneath the dash here. So, meter fuse, that one right there. Put that in. All right, now it's the moment of truth. Now, typically when the fuse blows, the dash goes out, and if the vehicle is in park, the ATP light comes on the dash, and that tells me the issue is still persistent. But if we turn the key slightly and everything comes on, we know we don't have any more issues. So let's go ahead and test it out. And everything turns back on. What do you know? All right, well, I think we just figured out where and what is going on. Let's go ahead and turn our rig on here. Well, I thought this project was over, but it wasn't. I took the Xterra for a test drive. Lo and behold, before I even got to the end of the street, the fuse tripped again. So here we are back at home. I've spent the past probably 4 hours taking everything apart that I could, trying to find a short anywhere, but unfortunately I couldn't find much of anything. I did, however, find this short right here on that wire there, and unfortunately I had already unplugged this when I was testing things, so it was not the cause of the problems we're having here. So unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to admit defeat on this project and take it to a shop tomorrow first thing, where hopefully we can finally get this resolved. I hope. Otherwise, I may have to shut down the channel. Just kidding, it's not gonna come down to that. We're gonna get this fixed one way or the other, I hope. And yeah, we'll just see what happens first thing in the morning after I drop it off. Well, it's been about 3 days. We finally got the Xterra back from the shop. Basically, the mechanics discovered that the plug going into the alternator was not fully plugged in and latched. And somehow that was causing the short for the meter fuse going out. I don't understand how that works because technically the alternator wasn't even on when you turn the key. But I test drove the Xterra for probably 40 miles and it seems to have worked. So I don't know, maybe the problem's solved. I feel kind of stupid though, because that's something I should have caught when I was putting in the new alternator, and I did not double check that. So no doubt that probably could have been what the issue is, but what originally caused the issue, I'm still kind of skeptical of. I assume it was the water crossings we went through, but there's just not really any way of knowing. And honestly, we're just not gonna know unless we reproduce the issue again, and I have to buy another $200 alternator. So for the time being, I guess water crossings are off the table, which is kind of a bummer, but it's to be expected, I suppose, unless I get a Gucci alternator that can do everything. Supposedly, we are back up and running. I test drove it. It seems to behave as it usually does when it's operating normally. And we're supposedly trail ready. So I'm still kind of skeptical as to what the issue actually was. I don't know if there was a short somewhere else in the car, because as far as I know, the mechanics didn't find anything. It was just the plug not seated in where it should have been. And I just don't understand how that would cause the electrical issues that I was experiencing. But my knowledge of vehicle electronics is pretty limited, and I'm just kind of learning by trial and error here. So it's not fun to admit you don't know everything, and when you don't know everything, you pay somebody else $100 to figure out that you didn't plug in a plug as far in as it should have gone. So I'm gonna have to eat crow on that one, but supposedly we're trail ready again. I don't know how much I'm willing to put trust in this vehicle to do long expeditions. So basically at this point, we're just gonna do small baby steps and just slowly go further and further out and just get comfortable with doing longer expeditions so I can basically rebuild trust in the rig here. I know this wasn't a super sexy cinematic video. This is more of a ranting vlog of me hopelessly trying to solve a problem that I honestly should have caught a whole lot sooner than I did, even though I mean, let's face it, I never caught it. The mechanic caught it and I never thought to check it. So we're just gonna call that a good learning experience. But hopefully this means we're going to be getting back on the trail again here soon. I definitely want to get out maybe later this week and see how well it works out on the trail, do some testing, and yeah, we'll just take small baby steps, one little step at a time, and until we can do farther expeditions, because we do have some big trips coming up that we got to get done. and I'm definitely looking forward to doing them. I just hope we don't experience any critical meltdowns or breakdowns like we just did. Videos like this are very anticlimactic, and I don't really like making them. My storytelling usually revolves around going on a journey and finding a gem at the end of that story, and there's nothing. There's no gem at the end of this one. This is just me frustrated, trying to solve a problem that shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. So yeah, I guess that's where this video is gonna end. We'll just call this a Frustrated Overlanders vlog because, let's face it, not every adventure is always going to be super sexy views and Instagram worthy shots. It's just not always a perfect picture like you always see on Instagram. Sometimes failure is just inevitable and you just gotta learn to adapt and overcome. So that's pretty much what we're gonna be doing here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this very anticlimactic video here on this channel. I'm not overly thrilled about this, but I'm just gonna post this video anyway because, well, it's a story, I suppose, about our journey in overlanding, and I want to show you guys, you know, the real behind the scenes look at what goes on and not just the super sexy Instagram worthy adventures that we go on. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one, and hopefully we'll be getting out on the trail here soon. So see ya. Bye.